some stabilization which has come due to the higher reserves which we have. Partly, we suffered last year basically for two things. One was the destabilization in our own economic situation and the reserves going down to an extent. And the second was the dollar weakening also vis-a-vis the other currencies. That was also the impact. That has changed. That situation has changed, and that has helped us in this particular year. But as I said, yes, because that financing, all foreign currency financing which we have, naturally when reflected in terms of the public debt in rupees, has affected by the, as I said, there are about 1.3 billion net additional foreign currency loans which we have taken. But out of that is almost 137 basically net. I'm talking net because there have been a loss and a gain as well. Gain dollar versus the other currencies, and the loss in terms of dollars. And there have been that loss which has been absorbed, which has affected the financing situation of the government as well.
You mind if I just
Sure, please.
talk about some of these things? Firstly, when you talk about exchange rate, we must understand that we must have an effective, real effective exchange rate. We just live in this world, and I think the definition of exchange rate, it is equalization of terms of trade between different countries. And if we do not, revalue or devalue our currency, depending on our inflation versus inflation of other countries, we lose the competitiveness of our products which we produce. So hence, what we tried to do when we did have inflation in these year 2000s, starting from 2005 onwards, that we pegged our currency almost to 60 rupees to a dollar, that by 2007-8 our currency was, by various estimates, overvalued by 23% to 27%. And what, the euphemism being used by people that the cost of, doing business had gone up, the fact remains that it had gone up by 23 to 25%. And 23 to 25% of foreign goods were cheaper in Pakistan, and 23 to 27% of your goods were more expensive in the foreign countries. So guess what? Imports went up to $40 billion, and exports stagnated at around $18 to $19 billion. So that is when, we talk about, so what is the solution to this? The solution is, because it is a differential of inflation between the two countries, the two currencies, so the solution is bring down your inflation. Bring down your inflation to single digit, to less than 5%, so that your pressure on your exchange rate is not there. That is the way to go. The way to go is not to artificially just peg your currency to a number. And I think you just suffer. And I think I have difference of opinion with a lot of economists on this, because they believe the inflows of currency also matters. And my answer to them is in that why the hell then China is making sure that their currency remains undervalued. It's a country which has the highest of number of dollars exports. And why do they just they're just trying to defend their currency? People telling them your currency is undervalued, and that is giving an unfair advantage your products which are being exported. Why is that? The fact remains that they know this gives them competitive advantage. So I think that is I think on the other stuff, when we talked about borrowings, let me give you a kind of statement of facts, sir. By October 2008, you had printed 1,300 billion rupees of notes. 1,300 billion rupees of notes within a period of 15 months to fund your deficit, your fiscal deficit. We actually paid back 300 billion. The target for June is 11, it was 1,380 or whatever, and the target now is around 1,100, so almost 300 less. So I don't think, sir, that at least till I was there, that we were printing notes and basically funding the fiscal deficit. Yes, there was a fiscal deficit, and fiscal deficit everybody knows was up to 5.1%, and maybe it's a little higher, but it was, but we'll go into the market and compete with everybody else so that it's an even playing field. Printing of notes, printing of, currency, by borrowing from State Bank of Pakistan is not an answer. That is the inflation which you are, suffering today. The impact of 1,350 billion rupees of notes with no underlying economic activity is the inflation in your economic fabric, which is taking so much time to take out, So I think this is always bad economics when you just basically print notes, without any economic activity.
Hello. My name is Fahim Kapadia. My question is to Ibrahim Sadar. Regarding the individual return of tax, there are two dates mentioned here. For electronic filing, it's August, and for others other than company, it's 30th of September. So what is the law? In the last year there was an amount, and now there is no amount. So who has to file an electronic return?
You said there's
In section 115, it says whoever is an employee has to file the return by 31st of August. And then in B parenthesis, it says for others other than company is 30th of September. So which date is applicable for individual filing if he is salaried? August or September?
Well, Shabbir will correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not quite familiar with this date offhand. I think the difference is e-filing and the manual one.
Right.
Yes.
One is applicable to the electronic filing, and the other is if you were to file a hard copy
So
return.
is it compulsory filing, e-filing?
No.
For
No,
compulsory.
Not yet.
So it's at the option of the?
Up till now.
Yes.
Okay. And my second question is regarding profit on debt. Up till last year, even the individuals were paying 10% PTR on bank returns, bank profit. So in the last year law, it was written other than companies, that was PTR for individuals. Now when they have removed the companies out of it, but now they have given the definitions like the treasury bills and everything. So what is the law for individual? Like the bank return on bank deposit, it's 10% final for individuals or not?
Yes, it is.
Yes,
right.
yes.
It is. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Jasim Ahmed Khan. My name is Jasim Ahmed Khan, and I would like to ask that in the capital gain on sale of securities, there is a table has been inserted, and it also mentions 2010 tax year as well. 2010 tax year means that the capital gain earned during the current year, which will mean that the clause 110 which exempts the capital gain will be
No, I think you must have heard me saying this mention of tax year 2010 appears to be a mistake, and it should be corrected in the Finance Act, because 2010 is not the year from which it is applicable.
Thank you. My second question is that regarding the profit on debt, the profit on debt that is made taxable, is that final taxation for companies as well? Because if that is the case, then it will mean that you can either build a factory and get your income tax at 35%, or you can place your funds in this sort of deposits and get your income tax only at 10%.
Well, that's a basic business decision you make. So whatever stream you select, the applicable rate will apply.
इसके ड्राफ्टिंग में मुझे थोड़ी कन्फ्यूजन नज़र आ रही है. आई थिंक वो इब्राहिम साहब कह रहे हैं वो आज के ड्राफ्ट पे सही लगता है, बट इट डजंट सीम टू बी द इंटेंशन. इट सीम्स टू बी एप्लीकेबल फॉर नॉन रेजिडेंट्स ओनली. अपीयर्स टू
मंशा यही थी.
हाँ, मंशा यही थी.
Thank you.
Excuse me. मसूद साहब, आपसे दो सवालात हैं. एक तो ये है कि टैक्स टू जीडीपी रेशो हमारा बहुत लो है, बहुत ज़माने से सुनते आ रहे हैं. तो अगर आप बता सके कि मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर का टैक्स टू जीडीपी रेशो क्या है. अगर वो रेशो जो हमें चाहिए उससे बहुत अच्छा है, तो मेरे ख़्याल से फिर यूँ होना चाहिए कि मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर को फर्दर टैक्स लगाने के बजाय इंसेंटिव्स दिए जाएं. एक सवाल है. दूसरा सवाल ये है कि प्रोविंसेस को 1 ट्रिलियन इस मरतबा दिया जाएगा. प्रोविंसेस को पहले कुछ 600 बिलियन थे, अब बढ़ा के 1 ट्रिलियन. तो क्या हमारे प्रोविंसेस के पास वो गवर्नेंस कैपेसिटी है कि इतनी ज़्यादा रकम खर्च कर सके. इसी ज़िम्न में मेरा सवाल ये है कि जो हमारा टैक्स का एक